Well, we got some beans going here. Actually about 8 rows of them. And if you look closely, you'll see a lot of grass in these beans and a lot of other weeds. Just like anything during the summer months or the warm months, you're going to get a lot of volunteer weeds and sometimes even some remnants of possibly, you know, some other crop that you had planted in that row before or in that area. This weed right here, I don't know the name of it, but it's a healthy sucker. And it grows prolifically in the beans and the tomatoes and other things. So I usually come out here on this 3 acres of organic gardening as much as possible to pull up grass like this, because that'll just get in between the beans and everything else, and then pretty soon it won't really kill the beans. It will at least dwarf your production, because it's going to suck up a lot of nutrients from the soil that the plant could be using, the vegetable could be using. But these are doing pretty good. So we've been on top of it. As you can see, we got some beans going here, and they're flowering, or blooming, so they are doing well. Once you get your beans or whatever vegetable it is cleaned out, then you want to aerate it. So I just use a simple hand cultivator. You don't want to pull the dirt away from the plant. This is a mound, of course, and you don't want to create a situation where your roots are exposed. So it's best to kind of aerate it by pulling soil towards your plant. Whatever we pull out as weeds, we just toss in the center row here, like right there. And as you can see, it's already done quite a lot here on this particular row. And then when we run the tractor up this row, the tractor's cultivator will just bury it. So it's kind of a combination of aerating or cultivating as you go along, and then pulling the larger weeds or grass out so that you can get a healthy plant. And quite frankly, this is a very good example of why organic gardening, or actually organic produce, is a little bit more expensive, in some cases a lot more expensive than your conventionally grown produce. And that's because it's very labor intensive, hands-on labor intensive. And if you're growing, or if anyone's growing like we are, where we're using 0 pesticides and 0 herbicides, which is something that would keep weeds down, then you got to do it manually. You got to be a smart farmer. You got to stay on top of it the best you can. It's never going to be a complete success where you get every weed out. It's just a matter of staying on top of it to where you can yield a very healthy fruit or vegetable and get it to the marketplace or consume it yourself. So this is partially part of the reason why organic food is a lot more expensive than conventionally grown. We don't have a bunch of tractors out here. We're not spraying this with an airplane or helicopter, and it's doing what it naturally does. Organic fertilizer is organic chicken manure and aged horse manure, and it works beautifully for us. Got a lot of nice tomatoes going on over here. Got some okra coming up. Those two, the center part there that looks like empty rows, is actually sweet potatoes coming up, and there will be about 10 rows of sweet potatoes, and that is the Puerto Ricans, which is different than the red jewel. We've done some videos on them. They're a superior, very heirloom type of sweet potato. Magnificent, really. The flowers there are carrots that have gone to flower. We're pretty much done with that, but we're letting it stay because we like it for the bees. The bees enjoy it. And we got about 4 beehives over there. Dan, the man who's the farming man here, owns this land. He has put all this together over the last 30 years. This farm has not had, this portion of the farm has not had any pesticides or chemical fertilization on it for probably many years. I'm going to guess around 40 years. Unfortunately, they lease another part of it out, as you can see over here, and that is tobacco growing, and that is heavily fertilized, heavily pesticided, I guess is the word, and of course genetically modified. Tobacco can't be anything but GMO. So just a few steps over here and you got some real stuff, the way it was intended. So listen, if you're starting to garden and you think you're getting overwhelmed with weeds and grass and all that kind of stuff, just remember that the payoff is huge for you. You're going to eat the best food in the world. So keep it up, keep the faith, learn to enjoy it, and experiment around with a lot of different things. Anyway, this is my cultivating and cleaning weeds out of beans. Have a good day. Oh, listen, don't forget, subscribe below and like the page, like the video if you like it, and leave comments. If you have questions, leave them as a comment. I answer all of them. So thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Enjoy your gardening.